Welcome to Fantasy Football Today Express. We're talking running back rankings right now. All right, I'm Adam Aizer with Heath Cummings. And so yesterday with Dave, we did a kind of a quarterback rankings reset. Now free agency is mostly behind us, especially at the running back position. What are some big changes that you've made in the rankings?
I don't know at the running back position that there have been a bunch of earth-shattering things. Najee Harris is now RB25. I think he was closer to RB30. We've seen a little bit of a tick up for Jaylen Warren, who was in the mid-30s and is now in the low 20s. Javonte Williams was a complete afterthought. Now he's ranked in the 30s. The guys at the top haven't really moved that much for me.
So how much of your rankings are still, I'm ranking this guy expecting something in the NFL draft? Like, how are you factoring the NFL draft?
Well, at this time of year, especially, I'm mostly just looking at projections. And so a lot of these teams, I've got some space left expecting they're going to draft somebody. The Cowboys would be a prime example of that. And so they will be big movers if they don't. There's some other guys who, we're just kind of projecting based off what happened last year, like a DeAndre Swift. And he's going to move. He's probably going to move down if they make a big selection. But so it's kind of it's a mixed bag of how likely do you think it is this team's going to add a running back, a good running back in the NFL draft. And maybe the Bears do, but they don't have that many picks. So I'm less certain they're going to.
I actually thought Swift was potentially one of the best picks of the draft that we just did. He went with the second pick of round 8. A couple picks later, we saw Brian Robinson Jr. come off the board. We're projecting all this improvement from the Bears. It's look, for what it's worth, PFF and the ESPN's run block win rate, that metric, they didn't really think the Bears had a bad offensive line last year, kind of average.
Right.
But without question, it's gotten better with the 3 players that they've brought in on the interior of the offensive line. So, Swift, if they don't do anything of significance, he went in round 8 in this draft. What round should he go in?
Oh, if they don't do anything of significance, he should be up there with Najee Harris. He should be a round 4 or 5 pick.
You still have that issue of goal line work, and if he'll get it.
Right. But we've seen Lions running backs, multiple, be worthy of a 4 or 5 pick even without the goal line work. The first year, Jahmyr Gibbs didn't have much of the goal line work. DeAndre Swift's last year with Jamal Williams, he didn't have much of the goal line work. He was still a worthy RB2.
Yeah. He's a player that really has a lot of ADP upside, let's say. He could move a lot. Not that there's any ADP really right now, but okay. So anything with any of the running, like nothing's really changed at the top, really. It was so uneventful. Are you encouraged at all by Christian McCaffrey and the comments that have come out about him, being ready?
I was, yes. And the fact that they felt comfortable enough to trade Jordan Mason. He is somebody who, in my projections, McCaffrey is up to RB8. Now, I think there's a little injury risk that might cause me to rank him a little bit behind some of the guys that are projected behind him. But he was just outside of my top 12 before free agency. So I'm a little bit more optimistic. He feels like I shouldn't even compare him to these guys, but the highest end possible to the whole Anthony Richardson / Justin Fields debate, that there's so much upside with McCaffrey. I wouldn't be that surprised if Christian McCaffrey is just the best running back in football for one more year.
Yeah.
And also he might play 4 games and no, injuries are too bad.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. I got a couple of questions about some round 3 running backs after this. All right, so we've done a lot of mock drafts since the end of the season, and I always take Chase Brown. And I looked at my rankings from January when Jamie asked us to do a top 12, and I had Chase Brown and Bucky Irving both ahead of the guy that I took yesterday in our draft, ahead of Chase Brown and Bucky Irving, as I just wanted to mix it up. I took Jonathan Taylor with the second pick of round 3. Now that they've signed Daniel Jones, and that looks like a 2-man competition between Richardson and Jones right now, did that change your rankings for Jonathan Taylor?
I'm definitely more concerned. I think the hope for Jonathan Taylor or for Josh Downs or for Michael Pittman is that if Anthony Richardson can't live up to his potential, then they at least get some older quarterback who can highlight the wide receivers and pass catching running back on the team. And instead, we just got a less exciting version of Anthony Richardson. Somebody who's going to be bad for all pass catchers, maybe slightly better than Anthony Richardson, but I have Taylor projected one spot ahead of Chase Brown. Taylor is RB10, Brown is RB11. But if I thought there was a chance that he was going to have like just normal quarterback play this year, he'd be higher.
Yeah, I think at least Daniel Jones, like Richardson will just not throw to Jonathan Taylor from what we've seen. I mean, it could be like one catch a game, could be really bad, but let's say 1.5. I think you could get a 35 to 40 catch pace out of Taylor. It's not asking a lot from Daniel Jones. But I if I had to do it again, I would certainly take Brown and Irving over. Would I though? He's really good, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I think Taylor's definitely the most talented running back that we're talking about. And so I still take Taylor over both.
All right. Now they also, they do have, I don't know if they have issues on the offensive line, but they lost their center. They lost their guard, Will Fries. So, I think Kelly had been kind of injured and struggling maybe a little bit at center for them, but Taylor's a guy that I want to do a deep dive on. So we don't talk too much about him, but he's pretty interesting. All right. Ken Walker. I talked to Jamie about this on Express a few days ago or last week. I don't remember, whatever it was. Where I thought that this offseason was good for him. Just looking at their philosophy and their roster, basically. But at the same time, their offensive line still stinks. It's a huge issue, and they haven't done anything really to address it. So where are you on Walker, who went with the first pick of round 4? He went 37th overall.
Yeah, I've got him just a couple of spots behind Taylor and Brown, RB13 in the projections. Big upside on both any given play and in a given year. But he's also the type of running back that fantasy analysts often like more than coaches do because he has a lot of negative plays. So the question really going in is, how does Kubiak divide the workload between the running backs? And if there is a big pass catching role in this offense, does one of those running backs dominate it? Or because they can both do it, they just both catch three catches a game?
Anything else from your running back rankings? How about like at the handcuff level?
Yeah, I think I was pretty excited about Jordan Mason in Minnesota. Thought that was an outstanding landing spot to where he might have 10 rush attempts a game with Aaron Jones healthy. And it might be like one of those guys that we can view as a flex when the starter's healthy. And if something happens to Aaron Jones, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Jordan Mason's a top 15 running back.
Isaac Guerrero went 5 picks ahead of Jordan Mason in round 9.
I would currently rather have Mason.
Okay. If you have McCaffrey, you might want to get Guerrero. Does it seem like a clear handcuff there for him?
As of right now, but as Jamie's mentioned multiple times this offseason, the 49ers always draft a running back on day 3.
They do. All right, that's it for Heath and myself. We will talk to you on Monday. Get those brackets filled out if you haven't done it yet, and we will see you later.